Well, I'm Cameron Lamont. I'm the director of Lyndal and Nick's wedding. Yeah, it was a great project. I really enjoyed doing it. I really was very honored when Lyndal and Nick approached me to do their wedding, and I was like, wow, that's a great idea. No one's ever done a movie like that before. So, they called me when I was in Canberra, and we got together, and it was great. They had all these great ideas, and they wanted to see what I could bring to the table. They wanted me to put my own artistic vision to work on film for them, and that was great. And we had this great meeting, and everything started off really well. And so, I was thinking about how I would do it, and shoot on video or tape or film or I don't know. Really, black and white, black against white, white against black. That Baby Shot Me Down song, would I go to black and white? Would I go to slow motion? Would I go to slow motion, black and white? Use other people's ideas, but, sort of repackage them as my own, My baby shot me down. So I ended up shooting with DV because the DV had that nice homemade camcorder, non-professional look to it. I think that worked well because it really gave the wedding a great natural look. So yeah, with casting for the movie was quite easy because Nick and Lyndal could both play themselves, obviously, because it's their wedding and they're going to be in it. But at one point it looked like Lyndal was going to have to pull out. She was having some difficulty with her schedule, and she had some contractual obligations that were going to stop her from being in the movie. So I was thinking, who can we get to play Lyndal? And I had Julia Roberts and Sandra Bullock and I don't know, Catherine Zeta-Jones and a whole host of actors. I mean, all different ages, all different looks, everything. Trying to get a good interpretation of Lyndal to replace her if she had to go. Thankfully, Lyndal was able to sort it out, and we were able to make the movie with her in it. And she was still able to make the other movie too. But it was close. It was very close. Thankfully, I could play myself. My parents could play their parents. Lyndal's parents were available, so they were fine. The minister, he was available, so he could play himself. So most of the people were fine, but for a short, very small moment, Lyndal might not have been in it. But thankfully, it was okay, and it made a great movie. And it was better for it because she was playing herself. And Nick was able to emote better and act off her much better during the ceremony. With the reception, I had my AD do some shots for me, and I like to let people work with themselves, take their own lead. I don't want to be like a control freak. And so my AD, he came to me with this idea about this effect he wanted to do during the speeches. And while he was filming the speeches, he had this neat silhouette effect going, where the person speaking went completely black, and all you could see was white background with them in front of it. And I was like, wow, silhouette, that sounds complicated. That's going to be great. So, it's French. It's going to be perfect. So, he did it, and it was great, and everyone loved it, And so, yeah, I'll definitely be taking more of his suggestions, yeah. And it was very, very cool. I liked it a lot, and I really appreciated him suggesting that because it worked really well for the ceremony, and it really isolated and emphasize the emotions. As a director of film, I'm very influenced by other films, by other directors. And with this, with all my other projects, I'd like to bring my influences to the table. So with this movie, I really was influenced by some Tarantino and a little work by, I forget the name of him, but he's really good. Whatever his name is, it's great. You should get his stuff. As soon as I think of the name, I'll tell you. Anyway, so during the wedding, I was flashing, to Kill Bill, from Tarantino's Kill Bill, and the wedding and that, and how powerful that was, and how well I could apply the ideas from that to this movie. So I asked them if I could put that "Baby Shot Me Down" song, but Lyndal and Nick, they didn't like that, and it turns out they didn't like Tarantino much either. So those ideas were usually pretty shot down because they were still executive producers and all that, and they had creative control, blah, studio system. What are you gonna do? So my team and I, we workshopped it and we went through line by line with Lyndal, and I actually started to storyboard it, storyboarding all the major scenes in the movie, including transitions, everything, blocking it all out. It was very, very useful. Very good for all you new filmmakers out there. So after that, it was very easy for me to show Lyndal and Nick what I had envisaged for their movie, for their wedding. I've always wanted to work with them And I don't, you always see someone you always want to work with, and you always think that, but when you actually do, it's so much better. It was like a dream. I couldn't have asked for anything more from them. They were fantastic. I like to go for more realism approach, like filming people as they are. I like to keep the camera rolling after the fact and catch all the, idiosyncrasies of people and the way that they relate to each other in a real life situation while they're not acting, while the camera's not on, Sometimes people get very conscious of the camera, and sometimes you have to hide it. And it's very, very difficult to hide, especially when you've got a big camera. And my camera was fairly big, so it was very difficult to sneak up on people like that and get their real natural responses. And, I don't know, but restraining orders, I suppose a restraining order means no, go away. But, the courts haven't decided yet. So there's a concept in filming called the fourth wall. It's like you're in a room and there are four walls, except one of the walls isn't there, and that's where the camera goes. So the camera can see you walking around those three walls from the fourth wall. And if you ever acknowledge the fourth wall by looking at it or walking past it, that's bad because it destroys the illusion of the film. And during the filming, I had this problem because people kept looking at the fourth wall. They kept acknowledging the camera, and they kept ruining my shot. And I was like, what are you doing? Stop looking at my fourth wall and look at the other three. But no, people looked at me like they didn't know what I was talking about. They didn't seem to care. I was trying to make a movie. I was trying to make a movie here. This is some home video. Yeah, it was a great project. I really enjoyed doing it. I can't believe it's over. I wish I could do another one. I've been asking them about the sequel, but we're not really sure what we're going to call it yet.